Hello! So this video is inspired from a conversation I had with my cousin when I went to go and see Hamilton for the first time back in January. I was looking at the merchandise online before I wanted to get it and seeing what other people had been buying, and I saw that there was a pin. And I really liked the look of this pin. Bertie had actually bought this pin because she'd seen it a couple of days before, and I really liked it. We're on our way into London, and I turned to my cousin and I said, I think I'm going to buy the Hamilton lapel pin. Lapel pin. She looks at me, she's like, it's lapel. It's a lapel pin. And she was just telling me so that I didn't get it wrong in the future. But my mind was blown because I'd been reading this in books and in so many different areas as lapel for ages, for my entire life, because it was only ever a word I'd only ever seen written down and I'd only ever read and hadn't heard or hadn't made the connection if I'd heard it out loud, but I don't think I'd ever heard it out loud before. And it got me thinking about all the words that I've gotten wrong because of that. I have a list. There are multiple words that I've only ever read. Some of them are from actual book series and are like made up words, but other ones are actual words that exist on the planet which I've just gotten wrong because I've only ever seen them written down. Okay, the first one is actually from a book, and that is the stele from the Mortal Instruments series, which up until actually probably, yeah, the TV show, I was pronouncing steel. Steel, they're steel. Jace is steel. Clara's steel. It's not steel, it's a stele. One I always remember from when I was a kid was Felix Felicis, which I could never say. I was like, Felix Felicus? Felix Felicus? For probably up until the Half-Blood Prince movie when they said Felix Felicis. Same goes with Amortentia, Amortentia, I think is what I settled on in the end. And then of course I saw the film and now I can't pronounce the actual name because I've got my mispronunciations in there. And then we have the word, which I was so proud that I knew. I googled the meaning and I thought I knew a big word because this is the word I first came into contact with when I was younger. And I thought, you know, I know this big word and I can read it and I know what it means and I can understand it. Hyperbole. That's the word. Of course it is. Makes logical sense. And I'm so proud I know this word. Big word, hyperbole. You know, people being a bit, they're exaggerating a little bit. They're not, you know, you're not meant to take the hyperbole statements seriously. Hyperbole, okay? I'm at a work conference, okay? A work conference. And the owner of the whole company is stood at the front and he's talking. And while he's at the front and he's having a talk, he's having a chat with us all, and he says the word hyperbole. And my brain, literally, like, my life changed that day, that I had spent 21 years of my life pronouncing hyperbole as hyperbole. Hyperbole! Oh, it was only ever a word I'd seen written down and I just thought it was hyperbole. And little 9-year-old me thinks, oh, I was so clever for knowing this big word, and then it's not actually the word and it was hyperbole, and I can't believe it lasted that long. I honestly can't. And then sometimes I do this thing where I read a word really quickly and some of the letters I misorder them. And I did this with the Iratzi in the Mortal Instruments, and it was Iratzi, and I added an extra E. So I'm reading Iratzi, 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 all throughout this whole thing, this whole series, until it gets to the TV show, and they're like, an Iratzi. That's what it is, there's no second E. What do you mean second E? What are you talking about? No. Actually, side note, this isn't necessarily like a word I'd read, but I did the same thing with Sam Claflin. I ignored the L. For years I was calling him Sam Claffin. Don't know why. And then Ginny, okay, and I could say Ginny, and she was, as some of y'all may know because I talk about her all the time. Ginny is my favourite female character in the Harry Potter series, and I could say Ginny, that was fine. And then I found out her name was Ginevra. Okay, that's her full name, Ginevra Molly Weasley. I didn't know how to pronounce that, so I'm Ginevra. Ginevra. For years. Ginevra. My favourite female character from the Harry Potter series, Ginevra Weasley. Who are you going as Halloween this year, Lauren? Ginevra Weasley. For years, I used to call her that. I couldn't say it. I was so small, okay? We all know the series by Ransom Riggs, or a lot of us will know, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Or, as I called it, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Now, the thing about this is peregrines are birds. It's a bird that I knew existed and still didn't know how to pronounce it. And I'm going around when the film's coming out telling everyone that I'm really excited for Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, until actually my cousin again turns around and is like, Peregrine. It's Peregrine, it's a bird. She turns into a bird. Haven't you read these books, Lauren? You know, I teach children. That is my job. And Peregrine. So, yeah. Volturi. The Volturi. Edward asked the Volturi to kill him. No, I didn't. It's the Volturi, innit? Don't even get me started on how I pronounced Xenophilius as a child. I think I pronounced it like Xenophius or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous how I tried to pronounce that name. Because, I mean, Xenophilius in a children's book. What are you playing at, JK? Also talk about how the fact that I never said Accio and it was Asio. For years. 4 years. I also completely forgot to add this in the actual video, but I also just want to talk about how I used to read YA books and wonder what all this food place was that all of these teenagers in these YA books were going to. Chipotle. Chipotle. It wasn't until England actually started to get them that I realised it was Chipotle. It's spelt the same as Aristotle. I just made the comparison and then that was it. I'd only ever seen it written down and it was written the same as Aristotle. Chipotle. So yeah, those are just things which I didn't have a clue, and actually some of them quite recently. Laypole pin, really? Come on! I'd love to know which words you guys got wrong and words that you found were incorrect and that you were reading as one way for years until you heard someone say it and then your life literally was changed, like the hyperbole situation. Never been the same since. Don't make me the only one in this. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're all good and I'll see you next time. And goodbye!